Okay, that is very good. So I will be starting right now. I share a note with us on the group chat. I believe some of us have seen the notes. We
So you
will.
can't see your, I can't see your screen, sir.
Okay, okay. What about now? Can you see the screen now, or is still not visible?
No,
Oh, we can see
Okay.
your screen now.
me, I can't
Oh,
see it too.
all right. Let me reshare it today so that we can all be on the same page. What about now? Can we all see it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
that is very fine. Okay, I share this slide on group chats early today, and I want to believe that some of us have gone through it to see what it's all about. Today, we are going to discuss based on what I share with us on Wednesday on how the syllabus of this course is being planned based on the ICANN structure. And I try to come up with this very simple and straightforward notes, not too bulky, simple so that it can be readable, and then we'll be able to comprehend each and every word on it. Like I shared that we have the structures of the syllabus is on different categories. So I believe we still have the notes that I share on Wednesday with us. In order to take much of our time, today we are going to discuss briefly on the chapter one based on the syllable, which is the management information that have the weight of 15% in this course. And then I'm planning in order to make sure that we cover as much as we can, in order so that we can minimize the stress and as well so that we can cover most of those areas that have the calculation parts, because we need to focus more on the calculation as well as focus more on the theory, because due to the structure of the exam that we'll be having some part objective, some part of sub-objective, as well as theory part. We need to make sure that everything we are doing, we try to standardize it in order not to omit one and focus on the another more, and at the end we won't be able to achieve our goals. Today, as it is being shown on the screen, I come up with this very one. Number one is I'm going to start the explanation based on the way it's being shown on the screen. Nature and the purpose of management accounting. So as you can see, I don't need to read all those ones, so I'll just go straight to the point. So that because this is what we are going to be discussing today. Now, if they ask us what is management accounting, because it will get to a certain level where we'll be having different thinking. Like, okay, we have management accounting, we have cost accounting, and then we have financial accounting. Are they different? What makes them to be different? Are they not on the same purpose? Number one is we need to understand what is financial accounting, what is cost accounting, and then what is management accounting. So the term management accounting and cost accounting, they are interrelated in some aspects, but they usually mix them together. But however, they are very different two things. When we are talking about management accounting, is just a broad level of cost accounting. As you can see on the screen, I decided to come up with this simple definition on management accounting. See, management accounting is concerned with providing information to management that can be used to help running a business. Now, if you look at this definition, it's simply telling us that the management accounting is not only about to determine the cost, like the cost accounting terminology usually say back then, but management accounting covered all those aspects of costs, and is also cover aspects of helping an organization to determine and help them to make a certain decision in an organization. It's because management accounting, it involves helping an organization to prepare and also presenting their financial and non-financial information. So in this aspect, they did not only focus on determining the cost by using their financial statement to decide the business decision for them. They focus more on financial aspects and as well as non-financial information to help management in making their planning decision, and then also give them the controlling aspect of the business. What is the purpose of management accounting? Their purpose is just to provide a detailed information to the management in order to help them to plan, control the activities or the operation of which they are responsible. So like I mentioned earlier, they did not base on the financial decision alone, both the financial aspects and non-financial aspects, just to make sure that the operation of the business is being going on smoothly. You will see it under it, I write key points, which means the key things that we need to understand in the management accounting is management accounting has cost accounting as its essential foundation. What does that mean? Cost accounting focus mainly on how to determine costs by reducing the costs, ascertain a certain cost of the production. But management accounting comprises everything in order to help an organization make a right decision, help them to plan, to control, and then utilize those planning and controlling to help them make a actual decision for the growth of the organization. Then we move to cost accounting itself. As is been shown on the screen, we divide cost accounting as the system for recording data and producing information about costs for the products produced by an organization, the service they provide as well, and it's also to use to establish costs for particular activities or responsibility center. You can see the differences now. Cost accounting focus on how the costs, how can they manage the costs of the operation. The management accounting focus more in order to help an organization make a proper decision using the cost accounting approach. Then we move to financial accounting. I'm very sure majority of us that are accounting students familiar with this financial accounting. If you are talking about financial accounting, it involves using the past record of an organization to help them to make a certain decision. So I give a simple definition of this financial accounting. We say financial accounting involves recording the financial transaction of an organization. We summarize them in a periodic financial statement. In a periodic, it can be maybe for 6 months, 12 months, for external users who wish to analyze and interpret the financial position of an organization. Financial accounting depends on the past events. Whatever the transaction of the organization that has already been carried out previously, then we now use it to determine in order to know the progress of the organization. Who are the key holders that are interested in using this financial accounting? Most, they are the external users, like it can be the governments, the environment, you can say the what is it called, investors, so that they can know how is the organization growing. Can we invest in them? Can we make certain decisions to know how the organization is growing? So as you can see, the differences now. Financial accounting focused on recording financial transactions based on the past events, so that the external users can help them to analyze and interpret their financial statements, while the cost accounting focused on cost implementation. And then the management accounting, they focus in helping an organization to make plan, control, in order for them to make a proper decision making. Then under it, I also come up with key points in order to know the main purpose of all these things. Now let's talk about financial accounting. The main purpose of financial accounting is for the external purpose, rather than to provide management information. The external users are more interested in the financial accounting, most. So management accounting obtain its information from the cost accounting system, and I explained this earlier, and it's prepared specifically for internal use by management to aim planning, controlling, and then decision making. These are the key points that we need to understand. Financial management, it's being used by the external users, while the management accounting are used within the organization to help them to make a proper planning, controlling the activities, and then make a proper decision making. And then the cost accounting involves a careful evaluation of resources used within the enterprises. So like I make mention, management accounting is, management accounting has the costs, has cost accounting as its essential foundation. These are just basic things that we need to understand. We need to understand if they ask us what is the differences between financial accounting, management accounting, as well as cost accounting. We are moving to the next. Now we are going to discuss about responsibility accounting. Responsibility accounting related to the management accounting. If you are talking about responsibility accounting is just a system for collecting financial reporting information according to the area of the business that individual managers are responsible for. Now you can see the definition that I give here. I say responsibility accounting is a system that hold manager accountable for the financial performance of their respective part of the business. The business is divided into distinct responsibility center. What do we mean by responsibility center? When we talk about responsibility center, we are simply talking about some units or division of an organization that are responsible for the certain responsibility of an organization. So how does this related to management accounting? There is a word that say hold people accountable for what they can control. So, every individual, every manager that have been assigned with a particular responsibility, they are need to be accountable for the responsibility being assigned to them. Now, let's talk about why this responsibility accounting, why does it matter to management accounting? Now, management accounting purpose. The purpose of management accounting, like I mentioned earlier, is to help an organization to plan. We need to know those keywords. If they ask us what are the responsibility of the management accounting, number one is to help an organization to make a proper plan, to help them to control the activities, and then to help an organization to make a proper decision. So this responsibility accounting now fit in right into this because it creates a proper clarity of accountability. So proper clarity for accountability, which simply means manager know exact which costs, revenue, or asset they are being responsible for. I hope we are following. And then number two is it also help them for a better control. They compare the actual performance with their budget or the standards being created by the organization. Now let's move to the type of responsibility center. We have different type of responsibility center. We have cost center, we have revenue center, we have profit center, and then we have investment center. All these center has their responsibility and then have a certain way of how they are being measured. Now, the number one is cost center. Now, cost center is a location, as it's been displayed on the screen. It's a location, function, activities, or a piece of equipment where costs are accumulated and monitored. The manager responsibility is to control costs within the center. Now, what does this mean is the manager that has been assigned to cost center is to only have power to control the cost only. He does not have any responsibility in having an organization to generate profit. What is being concerned is how can you help an organization to control their costs. So if you see, from the example that I put there, I put a manufacturing department, like the mixing, packaging, administrative units, all those units where, for example, now a cost unit can be a car manufacturing company, where they have assembly units and then they have a spare parts unit. So in this spare part unit now there are some raw materials that they will need to manufacture these spare materials that will be useful for the assembling of car manufactured. Now, the responsibility of the manager under this cost center is to make sure that they help an organization to minimize cost of producing each of these materials that they need to manufacture the car, the motor, by making sure that, for example, a cost of a particular raw material is 10,000. Now they need to make an assessment. How can we reduce this cost to help an organization achieve their objective, to help an organization minimize their costs? So I put it under my performance measure. How do they measure their performance? To know we budgeted 10,000 for a particular raw materials. How much do we later spend? We compare between the budgeted costs and then actual costs. If our budgeted cost is above what we actually spend, it means we help an organization to control the cost. We usually call it the cost favorable. It means the cost is favorable to an organization. But if the actual cost is higher than the cost target or cost budget, it means we spend above what we budgeted for. So in this cost center is to make sure that the responsibility of the manager is only mainly to control costs alone. So we need to understand that one. If they ask us, how do they measure cost center? Cost center is only mainly to control costs alone. Then we move to number 2, revenue center. A revenue center focuses on generating sales revenue, but does not directly track costs. The manager is responsible for achieving sales or revenue targets. Now, revenue center, as the name implies, cost center focus on costs, while revenue center focused on helping an organization to generate revenue. For example, I once worked in Chicken Republic. So I work as a assistant restaurant manager. So in this an organization, Chicken Republic is a subsidiary to Food Concept PLC. This Chicken Republic now, they have different units. They have different stores. The purpose of having all these stores is to help the organization to generate more revenue. They make sure that each location, they target the location where it can help them to generate revenue. They create different centers, different stores. The purpose of all these things is to make sure that they help an organization to generate revenue. They assign a particular manager to make sure that regardless of activities, the primary assignment while the manager is in this particular unit or stores is to help an organization to achieve their target revenue. If an organization budgeted 50 million monthly for a particular unit or a particular center of their organization, the manager under this unit or store are only concerned on how to achieve this targeted revenue for the organization. They are not really being concerned about the cost, but they still need to maintain the cost activities on how they generate their targeted revenue. But their major focus, their major purpose of this revenue center is for them to help an organization to achieve revenue only. So at the end of the month or at the end of a particular period, they make sure that they make their accessibility, their performance measure. How did they perform? How did they measure their performance? Is to know we budgeted 30 million for this month. At the end of this month, what is our actual sales? They are comparing their performance. What do we budget and then what do we sell? Are we progressing? Were we able to meet the targets? Then as the management accountant or a manager that's been responsible for a certain responsibility in an organization, have to make sure that he or she do everything possible to help an organization to achieve these targets. Let's move to profit center. Now, this profit center comprises of maintaining costs and then maintaining the revenue in order for them to help an organization to make profit. This one is different from the center, the cost center or revenue center alone. They focus on the costs and then the revenue to help an organization make profits. So a profit center tracks both cost and revenue. The manager is responsible for making costs and generating revenue to meet the profit targets. Now, every organization have their targeted profits. Maybe every month they budgeted to generate 40% revenue of their sales. Now, the focus on the particular manager, a responsibility manager is to know how can we achieve this 40% profit target. That is going to be his own thinking, his responsibility, not only to focus on to help an organization to generate revenue only, no, or costs only. The target now is how can you control the costs, minimize the costs, and then maximize the revenue in order for them to generate more profits for the organization. So at the end of the period, they will be able to measure their performance using the profits earned by the assigned center or unit to know if they were able to meet the targeted profits at the end of the period. Then the last one under this responsibility accounting is what we call investment center. I will just explain this briefly, then we can move to the next stage. So as we continue in our course, we are still going to be able to discuss more better on each of all these cost center. The purpose of investment center is to help an organization to make profits and then to utilize their assets. You know, this one is different from generating profit alone. An investment center manage revenue, they manage costs, and the capital investment decision. The manager is accountable for profits and then the efficient use of the capital. You have to utilize the resources of the organization very well, not only by controlling the revenue, the cost, then the generating. It has the responsibility of helping an organization to invest using their assets. And then at the end of the period, they will be able to measure the performance by using what we known as the ROCD, return on investment. I will leave this, then I'll move to the next row because we are still going to discuss more as we continue in the course. So now, what are the role of management accountants? You know, we have talked about the management accountant, the management accounting, and then the responsibility accounting. Now we are discussing since that management accounting, management accountant. What are those roles? What are those roles that we are expecting a management accountant to perform? Now, as a management accountant, they manage the running activities of the business more effectively by performing the following key roles. Number one, like I mentioned earlier, that the purpose of management accounting is to plan, the control, and then help an organization to make decisions. Those are the key roles of the management accountants. How can you help an organization to plan? You help them to prepare a budget, and then you help them to focus in order to guide the business operation using the past events record to forecast the future and then to forecast the future growth of the organization. You prepare a particular budget for an organization. How can you make sure that this plan is being implemented? You know, planning, we have a strategic planning, statics planning, all those way of controlling the planning process of an organization. Then after you have helped an organization to plan, what is the next thing? Is to make sure that you control the performance against the budget, against those plans that you help an organization to make in order to ensure that the targets, the aims and objectives of an organization are being met. You prepare a budget for an organization. Under this budget, you want them to generate 20 million at the end of the year. How can you make sure that you work towards this in order to ensure that the organization achieve these targets? By monitoring the performance. You have to monitor the performance of the organization against what you budgeted for, so that you can meet this budget, you can meet these set targets for the organization. Then you have plan, you have control. All these things we now help an organization. Is going to provide a relevant information for them to make a proper decision. Decision making, we say it provides relevant financial and non-financial information to support informed decision. Now, you budget 20 million, and then at the end of the year, you make 80 million. Now you have to look, what are those things that we have done right? Where are we lacking? Does that mean there are some areas that we did not cover as an organization? How can we cover all these areas? And then what are those things that we can do more better in order to achieve these targets, in order to achieve this objective that we set for an organization? So all those planning, the controlling that we are making, it will not help an organization to make a proper decision, both in financial aspects and non-financial aspects. We gather the information, then we know what and what we need to do in order to make a proper decision. These are the major role that we are being expecting an management accountant to help a business operation, so that they can achieve their aims and objective. Under it, you can also see cost management. It's also part of the plan, where you're able to identify the opportunity so that you can control and then you reduce the cost. Then you measure the performance, all those things under the controlling aspect. I just put this one in order so that we can expatiate more on how all these things are being done. Risk management, strategy support, compliance, and ethics. All these things will help an organization to make a proper decision. Now, how I prepare under it is a very simple way for us to understand or remember these key roles of management accountant. I use the word, please control decision carefully. People risk serious consequence. The please there stand for planning. Just to help us to understand why the control there stand for controlling, the decision stand for decision making. Then the carefully there stand for cost management. The people stand for performance measurement. This thing is just to help us to remember if we are being asked what are the role of the management accountant, or we can use the acronym CCDP, anyone that we prefer, in order for us to remember this role of accountant, but they can ask us in the exam in the question, and what are those role of management accountants, in order for us to remember it in a very simple way. So that is the reason why I come up with these simple acronyms. Then now let's move to the importance of management information for planning, controlling, and then decision making. Because we all know the purpose of management accounting is to plan, control, and make decisions. So under it, I put as like this, that for me, management information is very important because it help manager to work smarter. Once you gather the useful information, as a manager, you'll be able to know what did you need to do. Get the information, get the appropriate information. It will help you to know what are those things that you need to do at the right time. How can you achieve all those things at the right time? It's just to make sure that you get the facts and you figure out the way to maintain or achieve the goals of the organization, to help them to make a proper decision making. So I will not explain all this because I've explained it earlier. It's something that at the end of the class we can go through it, and then we read so that we can get more explanation on it. Now let's move to the second part of this information system in an organization. These parts, let me scroll up so that at least I shared it earlier. Is the second part, management information system. Now, what is management information system? Now, this is the simple way for us to get the logic of what the management information in an organization means. It's just a tool that help an organization to work smarter. I mentioned that earlier. How can they gather the information? You gather the information that you need, then you process it, and then you store this data to process a useful information. This is just a simple logic to control the information system in an organization. What are those information, the facts that you need? How do you process it? How do you store it? Then it make it easy to share and use for a manager to help an organization to plan very well, to help them make a proper decision. They also save time by automating the tasks, improving communication between the departments, keep recording accurate, and provide insights that helps the business stay ahead of their competition. These are just the simple way for an organization to gather and utilize the information to make a decision. Then we are talking about gather information. Then now let's talk about data. What do we mean by data? What are we gathered to make this information? We said data is a time terms that refer to facts. Facts are those raw data, raw information. Can I put? Let me put it: raw resources that you gathered to make a decision. Data is different from information. Data is referred to as facts that we gathered. That will now turn, we process it, we sort it, we process it in order to come up with a useful information. Now, we said data means facts. It must turn into information in order for it to become useful. We gather data without transforming it. It cannot be useful. For example, now you want to know about how the sales of the organization, a competitive organization, is being growing. In order for your organization to learn and also know where to develop in those areas from, what do you need to do? You gather the data, you gather those facts from your competitors or a particular organization that you are using as your benchmark, in order for you as an organization to develop on those facts to come up with a useful information that you can use to achieve the aim and objective of your organization. You gather the data, you gather the facts, you transform it into a useful information. As you can see from the diagram, you collect the data, you transform it, and then it becomes a useful information for an organization to make a proper decision. Then, what are the attributes of good information? We have been talking about information. What are those attributes? What are those things that make an information to be useful, to be accurate? Good information management or good information helps a manager to plan, control, and make decisions effectively. Now, I use these acronyms accurate because every information that we are using has to be accurate. Then I'll now subuse those words of accurate, the A, C, C, U, R, A, and T, to come up with a useful attributes of a good information. I said accurate acronyms is used to remember the main attributes of good information. Number one, A, accurate. Information should be correct to the level needed. For example, cost of products may require figure to the nearest cent or nearest cent, while a division report might round it up to the nearest thousand. Now, you want to gather information. You have to make sure that all this information that you have gathered, all this data that you gather to make a useful information, it has to be accurate. It has to be well detailed. It has to be in line with what you are using them for. Now, a good attribute of good information has to complete. It must include all the details needed for the task without being overloaded with unnecessary data. You have gathered the information, all this information that you gathered that you want to use, all the data that you want to use, are they complete? Are you using the actual fact or actual data that you need to make this certain decision. Are they in line with what you want to do? Make sure that you gather a useful information, not just anyhow information. Make sure that they are in line with your purpose. They are in line with what you need to do. Now, the third one is cost efficient, effective. The benefits of information should be greater than the cost of producing it. You know, there is what we call cost and benefit. Every individual, let's put it in down, any individual, if we are making a certain decision, sometimes we have to look at the cost and the benefits. You want to purchase a pen, and then you have different type of pen. Maybe you have a big, you have a Lucky, and then you have one fashion pen. Then you have to, if the big is cost 100 naira, the Lucky pen costs 50 naira, and another design one costs 200 naira. Then you now look, what am I using this particular pen to do? You look at the benefit that you are going to derive in buying the pen that have different costs. You have the intention of buying a particular pen, or you want to use it for just to write some information, or you want to buy a particular pen specifically designed maybe for signature, so that at least whenever you sign, the signature can come out very effectively. Now you have to look, if I decided to buy the 50 naira pen, is the benefit above the cost? You have to make sure that the benefit of the information that you are gathered is greater than the cost of producing it. Or you want to produce the pen. For you to produce this pen is going to cost you 10 naira, and you want to sell it as 15 naira. Look at the benefits that you are going to derive from this pen or any decision that an organization is making. It has to be cost effective. Make sure that the benefit of the information is greater than the costs that you are incurring in getting all these information. Understandable. Make sure that the information that you are getting is well understandable. You avoid unnecessary jargons, unnecessary information that will not be useful in line with what you need. And then relevance. Only include what is needed for the decision and the purpose at hand. Every information that you need, the attribute of this good information, it has to be relevant. If they are not relevant, if they are not related to the decision, to the plan you are making, avoid them. Avoid them totally. Then the next one is authoritatively. Information should come from a trusted and reliable source to help management, so that management can rely solely on it to make their plan and then make their proper decision. Whenever you are getting this information from, make sure that the source is reliable. Don't just get information anyhow. Don't just get information from unreliable resources. And then make sure that the information that you are getting are timely. They are in time. They come as you want to use them. All these things will help you to have an effective decision making as an organization. Then it has to be easy to use, regardless of the information that you gathered. You have to make sure that whoever that is using it is easy to use. This are the attributes of a good information. Whenever you remember, or whenever attribute of a good information comes to your head, just have that acronyms on your head, accurate. Make sure that each of the letter of accurate stand for a particular thing. Accurate, the A stand from accurate, the C, the first C stands for complete, the second C cost effective, the R stands for relevant, the A stands for sorry, the A stands for authoritatively, then the time, and then you have to make sure that if they ask you what are the attributes of good information, just remember accurate. Then you'll be able to break them down in line. Way to remember is just to help us to just remember, like I said, remember the accurate. A good information has to be accurate, complete, cost. Just remember, once you remember accurate, you are free to go. And I believe the remaining attributes of a good information will definitely be easy to remember. Then the next in line is limitation of management information. I will not take much time on this limitation so that we can move to the next one. Limitation of management information. Management accounting information is meant to help managers to make a better decision. But sometimes it falls short, every every situation or every decision that an organization will be making in one way or the other might have a certain challenges that will arises. That is why as a management accounting, you have to prepare for all these things. Like we make mention is in the attribute of a good information, to make sure that whatever you are doing, they are all in line in order to help you to make a proper decision. The number one limitation for management information is failure to meet the quality of good information. Once you are unable to meet those quality, or once you avoid any of those quality of a good information, it's going to be challenge for an organization to have an accurate information to make a particular decision. So if the information is inaccurate, it's not timely, it's late, or it's too complex, it's not easy to identify, it can lead to a poor decision for an organization. Now, for example, let's look at accuracy. You overstating costs might stop production of a profitable product, while understating selling price might lead to unsold goods. You overstate your costs. When you overstate costs, it's going to affect your profitable level. Or you overestimate selling price. The selling price supposed to be 15 naira, but due to the lack of getting a proper information, a proper and accurate information, you overstate your selling price. What is supposed to sell for 100 naira, you overstate it as 105. And then you did not create a room for the customer to patronize it, because you have overstated your selling price, because the customer can get that same product with the same quality in another related competitor at the rate of 100 naira or even lesser than that 100 naira. So you have created an avenue to have some of unsold good, which can cause a damage to your inventory if it is all those items that can easily be spoiled. You have to make sure that the information you are getting are well accurate. They have to be timelessness, understandability. You have to understand the information that you are getting. Every information that a management accountant is getting, it has to be of good quality. That is the key thing that we need to understand here. Then irrelevant costs and revenue. We say not all accounting data is useful for decision making. Information for financial reporting often need adjustment to be relevant. Useful decision making figure should be. Now, irrelevant costs and revenue can affect an organization to have a poor decision making. Now, for future, only if you are for future now, only costs and revenue that we incur in future matters. You have to consider those important costs, the relevant costing in ascertaining a cost of producing a particular product. Anything sunk cost, past costs are irrelevant. If we are talking about sunk costs, they are past costs. If you are making a decision, you make a decision based on irrelevant costing. You avoid those unnecessary costs that can affect your decision making. We also talk about incremental, where we focus on additional cost or revenue caused by decision making. So let's move to the third one, ignoring non-financial factors. Like we earlier mentioned, a management accountant do not only focus on financial information alone. We consider both financial and non-financial information to make a proper decision. So ignoring non-financial factors, managers also consider qualitative and behavioral aspects such as an employee morale, customer satisfaction, or environmental impacts. We say these are harder to measure but can be just as important as financial figures. In non-financial factors, it's not only to focus mainly on the figures for you to make a decision. As a management accountant, you have to consider the operational level. How your employee, how are they doing? Are they physically well? Are they physically challenged? Are they having any issue? Are there anything that they are lacking in order to improve your employee, to give them morale so that they can give more efforts in helping an organization to achieve their aims and objectives? You also consider how are you satisfying your customers. Then you also look at the environmental impact. You look at the environmental impacts like the government factors, you look at the economic factors and other related factors that can be of challenges to the organization. All these things will help an organization to make an effective decisions. If an organization avoid all these things, it can cause an organization to make some irrelevant decision that can lead them not to achieve their aim and objective. Now, number 4, we say lack of external information. Accounting, traditional accounting focus on internal, I will just briefly talk about, because looking at the external information, where we talk about financial accounting, that they focus more, you have to look on the lack of external information. Just like we mentioned, environmental aspects, the government policy, the competitor move, the customer demand, all those things, then it will help an organization to make a proper decision. Those are the things, those are the limitations that can lead to an organization not making a good information. We need to know all these things. All these things is going to help us to know how a management accountant's activities, role, are being going in an organization. We have talked about the attribute, we talk about the limitation. Then what are those sources of information from within an organization? Where can we get all those informations from? We talk about the internal source, which is within the organization. We look about our financial recording, how is the production level of the organization, are they going? You look at the sales and the marketing reports. You also look at other areas just for an organization to get those internal resources that can help them to make a proper decision. Like we said, management accountants focus more on internal decision making, but you also need to consider some external factors in making all these decisions. The external factor that you need to consider, consider all those government policy, your competitor, your economy, industrial, all those things will help an organization to come up with a proper planning. How can they control it? And then at the end, how can they make an effective decision? So under it, we come up with the use and limitation of published information and data, information stroke data. So the use. We are talking about the use. We say the use provide background information on markets, industries, and economic trends. They offer statistical data and then the resources. So just try, after the class, try to go through it once again so that you can know what are they used for. What are the limitations? Like we made mention earlier, we have said, so I don't want to take much of our time in this. I think the last part of this note is the spreadsheets. I'm very sure majority of us, even though you are not an accounting student, you are familiar to the word spreadsheets. A spreadsheet is an Excel, what we use in Excel, because every organization, one of the key inventory management or one of the management tools that organizations are using to monitor their performance now is spreadsheets. We need to know what a spreadsheet is. I'm very sure majority of us are familiar. So I will just briefly explain, then we can move forward. We say spreadsheets are computer tools that lets you work with data in table. All those information, all those data that we are getting, that we are sourcing for, both internally and externally. Spreadsheets is a tool that we use in analyzing them. Let me open. I'm very sure. Let me open one of spreadsheets to just show us how it look like. Can we see? Can you see? I'm coming. Let me Sorry, I'm coming. Let me just show the spreadsheets. Let me show the spreadsheets. Okay. Can you see the spreadsheets, please? Can you see the spreadsheets? Okay. If you cannot see, no problem. So I'll be sharing the sample of it on the group. Spreadsheet, we use spreadsheets to narrate all the rare useful resources that we get in order to analyze our data so that we can use it to make irrelevant information. I will just allow us to go through it. I'm very sure, like a majority of us are familiar with this. You know, we use spreadsheets for data analysis, for cost and management accounting, you know, to build costs. These are the things that we use spreadsheets for. I don't want to take much of our time because I believe that some of us here are familiar with spreadsheets. And then is what we are going to be using when we start properly in our calculation course. We are going to be using the spreadsheets to explain our exercise and the examples as the course continue. And then with this, I think we have come to the end of the introduction of management accounting. Then I try to come up with a practical question. We are going to do this one together. This one will help me to know if we are on the same page since we have started the class. We opened the floor for everyone to contribute to this. I will read out the question and then any one of us can raise up his or her hand and then tell us the answer for this practice question that I come up to help us understand the basic explanation of this. Number one is the following section relates to the management accounting. Number one is the purpose of management accounting is to provide accounting information to the managers of the business and then other internal use. Roman figure 2. Management accounts are only concerned with cost of goods, service, and operation. Now, the question there is, which of these statements above from the Roman figure 1 and 2 are true? Anyone can check the question again and then tell me which of them are true. Is it Roman figure 1 or Roman figure 2? And tell me the reason why you think Roman figure 1 or Roman figure 2 is the correct answer to our practice question. Anyone here to help us out? Anyone here to help us out? Just indicate yourself. If you know the answer to number 1, just unmute yourself and answer it. And then you can tell me the reason why you think the answer you choose is correct. Is anyone there? Okay. Okay, okay. So, Mr. Jeremiah, you said the answer is A. Okay. Any answer to this before I explain? Any answer to this again? Okay. Let me explain, not to take much of our time. I was explaining earlier the purpose of management accounting is to help an organization or a business to make a decision within the internal use. The decision that an management accountant is helping an organization to make is to help them to make a proper decision within the organization. So if you look at Roman figure 1, and they say the purpose of management accounting is to provide accounting information to the managers of the business and other internal users. This one is correct, because as management accounting, you help an organization to make a certain decision to help them utilize it within the organization. The Roman figure 2 said management
Hello, we can't hear you. I can't hear you anymore. I mean, our network.
Okay. Call entered. I did not know that my phone is ringing. Sorry. What of now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, that is very good. As I was explaining, a management accounting or a management accountant is not only concerned in helping an organization to decide the cost of goods, service, and operation alone. No, we have to be very careful on some certain words in the exam, most especially in the objective or sub-objective section. If they ask for this kind of question, that which of these statements are true? What did accounting management accountants only concerned with cost of goods, service, or operation? No, they are not only concerned with it. Now, if you look at A, they say Roman figure 1 and Roman figure 2 are both correct. Only Roman figure 1 is correct. Only Roman figure 2 is correct. Or neither the Roman figure 1 or Roman figure 2 is correct. The correct answer here is Roman figure 1. Because the purpose of management accounting is to provide information to help the business to make a proper decision making. They are not only concerned. But if they say management accounting is also to help an organization to control the cost of goods, service, and operation, that one is different. But they say only concerned. You have to be careful of that statement, of that word only. They are not only concerned of cost of goods sold, service and operation. No, they are not only concerned with that. In this case, the only correct answer in Roman figure 1 and Roman figure 2 is only Roman figure 1, because the purpose of management accounting is to provide accounting information to the managers of the business and other internal users to help them to make a proper decision. We need to understand this one. Number 2, data is information that has been processed in such a way as to be meaningful to its recipient. So now, In this case now, we have to be very careful. We
False.
have to. Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
The answer is
In this,
false.
you said?
The answer is false.
Okay, okay, that is very nice. The answer is false. I think the time is going, so I will just run because data information that has to process data,
Data has to be processed to become information.
very good. We have to process the data in order to become a useful information. In this case, is false. Number three is which of the following are quality of good information? We have relevant, we have accuracy, we have complete and costly.
ABC.
A, B, C, and then an A, B, and C. The really
Yes.
a good information has to be accurate, relevant, and complete. Costly, you have to make sure that costly is not part of it because we said earlier that the benefit of the information have to be above the cost. Know
Yes.
that very. The number four, we say the cost of producing information should be greater than the value of, like even I just said that earlier now. I just said that the cost of producing information should be greater than the value of
Should be
benefits
lesser.
of the information to the management. Good. So
The
I
answer is
believe
false.
we understand all this. So the answer is false. And the last one is which of the following should be data rather than information. Let's just look at it very well. The average cost per unit of purchase, the percentage increase in purchase compared with the previous period. The total, can you all hear me, please?
Yes, it's breaking, but
Okay,
we can hear you.
okay. Now this is just the last one. Oh my. Okay. The C part is total purchase over a period. The D is the increase or decrease in purchase compared with the previous period. Can anyone tell me the answer to this number 5? They say which of the following should be data rather than information? They give us different options. The average cost per
To
unit.
me,
Okay, I'm with
I
you.
think A should be data
Okay.
because
Why did you
it's
think?
not giving information. It just said the average cost per unit of purchase over a period. It's not
Okay,
giving a specific information about anything.
okay. I I understand you, but the answer is not A. Now let me explain in a very
Hello?
simple logic. Can you hear me?
Okay, please come again.
Okay. The answer is not A. Now
Okay.
I will give you the reason why the answer is not A. If you look at it very well, they say the average cost per unit of purchase over a period. Now it means the organization have determined the average cost of a particular unit of or have a particular unit of product they want to purchase or they have purchased. They have determined the average cost. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the B section say the percentage increase in purchase compared to the previous period. This one also is also information because you have determined the certain percentage for you to know if it is increase or decrease. You have determined this. Now the sixth part is saying the total purchase over a period. How did you ascertain this total purchase over a period? Now, total purchase over a period can be 10,000. How did you ascertain it? Or you come up with a a data that you want to spend 200 naira as your total
The
purchase
network is bad.
for this month. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Just let's
Oh,
continue.
okay. Now the C is talking about total purchase over a period. An organization have come up with a particular or a budgeted total purchase over a period. Now, how do you achieve this? By making sure that you do not spend above this total purchase that you have budgeted over a period. Then you need to perform some useful process. You need to transform some data. You need to transform some process in arrive at a useful information to help you minimize this total cost over a period. So the answer here is C, because the total purchase is what the organization says, is what they want to work on to know and help them to make a decision. The answer is not A, because they have already decided the average percentage, average unit cost. The B, saying the percentage increase in purchase compared to the previous. Before they can know the previous, it means they have already come up with some useful information to arrive at the increase in percentage. Why the D part saying the decrease and increase in purchase? Now you have making comparison. You projected 200, you spend above 200, you spend less than 200. It means you have processed those data to come up with a useful information. So in this case now, we have to be very careful, understand the logical approach on how this question comes. Understand what is data, fact, what is information, the one we have processed to come up with something meaningful to help an organization making a
Total
proper decision.
purchase over a
You need to
period.
understand. You said?
No, sir, I'm just saying that. So the answer is C, the total purchase
Oh,
over a period.
okay.
No, is that
So
yes? You said the answer is C.
the answer is C.
That
The
is
answer,
total purchase over a
yes.
period.
The answer here over a period. Yes. The answer here is C. Did you get it?
Yes. Let's continue. I don't.
Okay.
Yes, I get it.
All right. What I will do, I think time has gone. What I will just do is at the end of the class, I will try to, because time has gone, so I will try to expatiate more, because I believe some of us are confused regarding to this
Hello.
question 5. Hello? Can you hear me, please? So some of us are we, because not to waste our time. I think time has gone because I set the class for 1 hour 30 minutes today, and this
Hello.
is a hello.
Please, can I say something on this particular question?
All right. You are free.
Yes. So I think I just want to add it to the what our tutor has said. Like the person that asked the question, maybe he be confused somewhere. As the tutor said that the information is the data that has been processed. And when you check among the options that we have here, the first option, the average cost per unit of the purchase over a period. So when they say the average cost, so that means they may have different unit price per that period. For instance, let's say in a year, you purchase every month and the price do changes. So the average now will be all those units divided by number of time that they make that purchase. So when you see the average cost, so one thing that you should know first is how can I get the average cost? So you know that data for them to get that average work, they have worked on a particular data, which is the unit price over a period. So the average cost in this circumstance should be a process data, which is information. And the option B, the percentage increase in purchase compared with previous period. So you also know that they have do some analysis for them to get those percentage increase. The option C, total purchases over a period. So total purchases over a period. So in this aspect, it can be regarded as a data because it's just the number, the figure that they have accumulated over a period. They have not do any work, maybe find the average analysis. So it's just a data that is coming in. And they say increase or decrease in purchases compared with previous period. So you know that before they can find increase or decrease, so they have do plus or minus, they have compare two data and they have come out with information, maybe in some percentage of increase or not. So in all these options, option C is the one that is more close or we can be regarded as a data. So that is my submission. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sadiq. Thank you very much for the explanation. And I believe that we get the explanation more better now. I believe we get the explanation more better. And this is where we will be stopping for today. And then our next class on Wednesday, we are going to start from course classification. And then where we'll be able to explain how costs has been classified into different areas. And before then, I will try to share some materials with us in the group so that we can go through it in order for us to have some basic understanding regarding it before our next class. I want to thank everyone for staying up to this time today. And then we appreciate your presence. And we believe that we have learned one or two things in today's class. And then I want us to also go through the lecture notes once again so that we can read. Okay, Mr.
I'm
Jibril, you
sorry,
want to say?
please. Yes. Yes. Sorry, please, for cutting you.
All right. All right.
As if, from the lectures note you sent earlier on today,
Yes.
yeah, I went through it. There was this part you were doing today, this responsibility accounting.
Yes.
I think it
include,
meant.
I think I did not include that one earlier, so I will send it back to the group.
Okay. Thank you
I
very much.
omitted it, yes. I will thank you for the observation.
Thank you.
So I want us to go through the lecture notes. It will help us to get more understanding of what we have been saying since. And then if we are having any question to ask after the class today, we can drop it via the group, WhatsApp group. We attend to it. And then anyone that Mr. Sadiq too can help us to attend to in order for us to get explanation on it. Please, we should take our reading very serious. Time is going, and then we believe that we are going to do justice to each of the topic in this management accounting. when we start fully on what is it called, the calculation, because that is where our major focus will be. I want us to pay more attention to it so that we can understand and also to have what it takes to act as a management accountant in an organization. So I want to say thank you to everyone for being part of the class today. Good night all, and have a rest night. Good night.